Hello and welcome to the Sport for Business Daily, where we're joined once more by Pippa Doyle, the sponsorship lead at Littlewoods Ireland, only 48 hours out from the launch of the Littlewoods Ireland Camogie National League for 2021. You're very welcome, Pippa.
Thank you. Good morning.
So this is year 5 of your sponsorship. Didn't that go by in the blink of an eye? Tell us what's going to be the most exciting thing on the agenda when the games get underway this weekend.
So I suppose it all kind of, the exciting part starts today, I suppose, with the launch. And I suppose we kind of took a lot of learnings from our league campaign last year, where we launched our Style Me Substance platform, and we released a brand film across our social channels with 2 supporting videos. And I think kind of the reaction we got from that exceeded our expectations in terms of, it did exactly what we wanted in terms of players feeling that we were representing their game in the way it should be represented, because it's very high energy, very positive, very fun. And I think immediately we were like, well, this has to go on TV. So we actually kind of went about the process, I suppose, of creating a TV ad from that 90-second video into a 30-second ad, which was a tough process, but we did it. And that will be going live on TV from today. It features 4 players. You're going live across radio and print as well, and across social and pod. So that first and foremost for me was the most exciting, I think, because we'll have just an exclusively Camogie ad, which we've never done before. And it's one of our largest sponsorship campaigns to date that we've had in the 5 years across hurling and Camogie. So we're really excited. That's
great. Huge vote of confidence in the sport as well. And you're a retail brand, but the focus has been very much on online. So the social and the digital assets that you have coming out of sport, there's a very direct relationship between you being able to see what you've got on screen to being, pounds, shillings, and pence in terms of what people are actually buying as well. Is that a metric that you really watch closely as a sponsor?
Not particularly in terms of direct sales. Now, I'd look definitely at brand affinity, and do they like us off the back of us having this sponsorship? Would they recommend us to a friend? Would they shop with us after seeing our campaigns? And those metrics are increasing. Now, and that's kind of what we want. It was awareness. Like, we just need to keep raising awareness for us as commercially of our sponsorship, but really for us as the game. And when we decided to really just put the players at the forefront, that's what happens off the back of it, because you're not doing it that way. I actually feel like for us to be pushing clothing or electrics or something would be the wrong message for us to do, and it's something that we kind of, for us, we're very much that upper funnel level, like we want to make you feel differently about our brand, and so that you want to shop with us. So I'm lucky in that I don't have a direct target of sales or anything attached to my role, but we are very much like, we watch like a hawk that awareness level, because we are seeing over the last 2 years that when people see that we are sponsors of the Camogie Leagues, they do like us more off the back of it. So that's kind of where we look really on social and stuff.
Yeah, it wasn't an obvious sponsorship. I can remember at the time when you came on board, a retail brand like this bringing style and to the substance as well, as the tagline goes. But you've succeeded in turning Camogie players and hurlers into style icons, and that's something which had never been tried before, really, but which has worked well. Is it something that has exceeded your own expectations?
Yeah, I think we kind of saw, at first we were like, oh God, is it going to be a bit of a strange one, like as you said? And I think for us, we were more bringing it back to our customer base, that they were so spot on, like the demographic for particularly hurling. But I suppose for Camogie, when you're focusing on women, our primary shopper is a mum, and she's aged between about 25 and 45. Now, obviously that's just our prime customer, it's not our only customer, but for them, like, there's children, like, how can we inspire those children? Let's put these amazing role models in front of them who are absolutely fantastic, and in the ad we show them on and off the pitch to show that, like, they have a life, they do wear clothes, they do use all the items that we sell, and that we make sense from that side of it. And also, we found some of the players we've worked with have unbelievable style, and they're like delighted. We had our photo shoot yesterday, and with Katie Power and Amy O'Connor, and we shot them in some of our Littlewoods Ireland clothing as well. Particularly, we have a really large sportswear offering, so it makes perfect sense for that. And that clothing is part of their everyday life, and for us, in the absence of a bricks and mortar store, I suppose it's it is that feeling, that connection, I suppose. And when you see that that makes sense for them, it sounds strange to say it, but for sportswear, it makes sense in their life, you know, and football boots or your gear bag or, you know, your O'Neill's jersey, like we have all of that now. And it just, it does make sense. It did originally, I agree with you, Rob, sound really strange. Littlewoods Ireland has come on board in partnership with the GAA and the Camogie Association. But as you really see it come to life and kind of knuckle down on it, it makes perfect sense.
Yeah, strange can often be very good. And it is, you know, we often look at sports stars through that very narrow prism of them being what they do between the white lines. But of course, they do have a much broader life out of that. And, you know, the energy and the effort that they put into it makes them interesting characters in the first place anyway. So they look good from the photo shoot yesterday. One of the important things that you've done down the years as well is that you actually bring the games to the fans through the streaming, and you're back on the camera, so to speak, this year as well.
Yeah. So it's something we were looking into. I suppose we kind of felt like, okay, we've hopefully be ticking a box with the awareness of the game, you know, getting it on TV and awareness of the players. I suppose we kind of wanted to identify for Littlewoods Ireland, you know, obviously there's a lot of, I don't want to say issues, but a lot of things that need to kind of happen before women's sport is going to be treated the same way as the male counterparts. But for us, we wanted to try and hone in on something that we could own and really try and address the issue. So I suppose for us, we did some research and we saw that we were expecting the numbers to be a bit shocking, but we didn't expect them to be what they came back as. And I suppose one of the figures was 89% of the population cannot name an inter-county camogie player. And for us, we were like, well, it's just down to lack of visibility. It's not for lack of the game and the entertainment factor. So we firmly believe that if the game was obvious and more brought to the masses and people saw it, they would 100% be interested. And I suppose for us as well, there was a 66% of adults surveyed are fans of, like, sports fans in general, but only 19% of them had watched a camogie game. So we were like, what can we do? Like, what can we do to fix it? So we've teamed up with Camogie Association and we will be dual streaming. So it'll be available on the Littlewoods Ireland GAA via Periscope. So you'll just click the link and it takes you through, and on the Camogie Association's YouTube channel. So we just want to widen that reach, broaden the audience of people who can tune in literally at the click of a button. So before, at least if we were like, you have to pay for a ticket, you're gonna have to travel to a game, it was a bigger ask. And this, you know, a positive of COVID, I know it's something we've done for years, but a positive of COVID has been we are staying home and these games are more accessible. So yeah, we'll be back streaming a number of games throughout the league over the 6-week period. And
in previous years, the numbers have been impressive as well. Like, they've been getting tens of thousands, which is more than would ever imagine getting to a regular Littlewoods League match in the early stages at least. So really positive. You're going to join us on our streaming sport event in a couple of weeks' time as well. So I'm really looking forward to going into that in a little bit more detail. It has been a bit of a rush in order to get the leagues done. So from an administration point of view, obviously COVID has had a huge impact, and there's been other issues within Camogie as well that have meant that it hasn't been a bump-free journey towards the league. But you're there now at the weekend. How difficult is it for you as a brand manager trying to fit all of the pieces into place in a window which is much shorter than it would have been in previous years?
So I think, again, didn't think I'd be saying it twice now, but thanking COVID, in that we've learned how to deal with curveballs over the last year and a half. So I think there was less of a panic station, you know, when these things sort of hit, like when we knew the league were going to have to be shorter. Again, I'll say what I said about the hurling championship is I was just happy we were talking about we were getting a league, and we were like, we will work around this, and whatever we get, we will work with, and we'll be delighted. So because we were obviously cut down, you know, at semi-final stage in 2020. And I mean, we're lucky we just missed the back end of the league, but we really wanted that semi-final and the final. So that was unfortunate. And after that, we were kind of raring to go. So as much as it was a rush, we've actually been working on doing the TV ads since last June. So we've been working away. So we actually had the TV and the radio ad almost done by June. Or probably by August. We had a lot of over and back. We struggled to get rid of some of the scenes. But we had those kind of in our back pocket, and it was sort of just then, how do we create a campaign around it? And I think there was obviously delay. We started having conversations with the Camogie Association, you know, in January, and we just stayed close to the situation as best as we could. And obviously it was a very volatile situation in terms of case numbers and everything at that point. And when things started to look a bit more likely and we were awaiting a government announcement, we did start to gear up, and we started working with our agency partners again and planning away and making sure we could do just the very best we could with the tools we had at that time. And it definitely is more difficult than in a normal year. I think keeping stakeholders included and stuff as well, and involved in all the updates. And sometimes, you know, I'll be talking to someone on a Tuesday and by Friday it's changed, and I was like, oh God, I didn't reach out to you, sorry. Like, it's different again. But you know, everyone kind of had an understanding, I think, because we have seen things alter and change so much. And again, everyone in Littlewoods were just like, if we're getting a league, we get a league, that's brilliant, and we'll work with what we need to do. Because again, we haven't had a large Camogie above the line campaign. And again, another thing that we kind of dealt with at Christmas time with the hurling championship is there is a brand campaign live at the moment. So we have to make sure that we don't overlap and, you know, do that in the best way possible. And I think probably for the first time we'll have seen, we have GA players in both, have infiltrated both sides now. We have Jackie Tyrrell in our brand ad, and again, that's a really nice fit. It's a nice message. Jackie features actually in our 30-second Camogie ad too, you know, so it's nice correlation and resonance and stuff. So we are kind of, I think we took the opportunity and we ran with it in the best way possible. Probably the launch was the biggest turnaround, obviously, given everything over the last week or so, but we just kept going as if it was going to happen. And if we were unfortunately going to have to pull it, we may have had to pull it, but luckily that didn't happen, and we are starting the league this Saturday.
Here we're launched. I think doing the best you could is pretty good, because I've seen the ad, seen the imagery. It looks great. You can find it elsewhere on the Sport for Business website today. But for the moment anyway, ahead of a busy weekend, ahead of a busy summer, thanks very much, Pippa Doyle from Littlewoods Ireland.
Thanks so much, Rob.